Hey, let's get right to it. It is my great pleasure to welcome back Phil Mobley. Phil, how you doing?
Hey, Dan. Doing great. Good to be back. Thanks for
So,
inviting me.
my pleasure. So, Phil comes to us from the Financial District in Boston, Massachusetts. Phil is the National Director for Office Analytics at CoStar Group, which is the leading provider of commercial real estate information, analytics, and online marketplaces. Thank you for coming back, Phil. We got a great show. I want to get to our co-host right away. First up, Mark Gilbreath, the CEO of LiquidSpace. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, Dan. Phil, great to see you again, friend.
And we've got Fran Saele from MorteVita. How you doing, Fran?
Great, Dan. Thanks. And good to be back. Hi, Mark. Hi, Phil. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do this. All right. This is a question that we've been eager to endeavor with Phil. So, Phil, please tell us what's happening to office leases in 2025. Get us started.
Well, there's some ways that office leasing looks a lot more normal than it has in the last 5 years. And then there's some ways that it looks actually a lot more similar to recent times than it does to the late 2010s, which I think is what we still have stuck in our head in terms of what the definition of normal is. So I brought along some slides. If you wouldn't mind, Dan, I can try to run through them just to give everyone a quick overview based on our data of what we're seeing in the occupancy market.
Well, let's turn on the carousel and get right to it.
Great. So this is what I mean. You can see in the yellow circle here, the most recent quarter. This blue line here is the trend in leasing volume as a share of inventory. And now a couple things about this. One, it's new leases only. So we exclude renewals because typically what's driving the net change in occupancy is leases. Renewals are they're not always for the exact same amount of space, but on the net they typically are. So we pay most attention to new leases. And the other thing is we've got this normalized to a share of inventory. There's generally a slow, steady increase in the amount of inventory. So you have to lease a little bit more to keep the share of inventory constant. So in the most recent quarter, we got very, very close, 95+% or so, to the level of leasing behavior, leasing activity that we saw pre-pandemic. You can see where that average was, the black dotted line there, and really how consistent it was through the late 2010s, and then how far we fell below it, how we sort of maintained a level slightly below it, and then last quarter, essentially matching the best quarter that we've had since the start of the pandemic. So that's good news for landlords in the market. If you go to the next slide, I'll show you a little more what I think is good news. So in terms of move-ins, so leases sometimes lead move-ins. They very often do. So typically you sign a lease and then, 1, 3, 6, sometimes 24, 36 months later, you actually move into the space. But what we've been seeing for the last few years, and you could take this further back if you wanted, but these blue segments of the bar, this is new buildings 0 to 3 years old, and they've had positive net move-ins. Of course, there's only one direction for move-ins to go in new buildings, right? You can't move out of space that no one's in the first place. But it's very normal, right, for new buildings to get filled up. What's not normal is for basically everything older than 3 years to be losing occupancy, and even more occupancy than is gained by the move-ins to new buildings. So for the last year, it's not just the 0 to 3, but some of those 3 to 10-year-old buildings that were starting to backfill some of the space that they lost since 2020. But still, buildings 10 years old and older, the yellow, green, and sort of dark red segments of the bar, they've been losing occupancy. But in the first quarter, they didn't really lose that much. The 25 to 50-year-old group lost a little. But this is the pattern that you typically see in a healthy market, where the net positive absorption is in the new space, and then tenants are sort of trading in and out of older space to the net of 0, right? And that's more or less what happened in Q1, and that's a normal, healthy thing that we haven't seen in a while. So third slide, more good news, I think, for landlords, if you want to move forward one, Dan, and that is, or at least for existing landlords, the supply pressure is evaporating quickly. So the blue line here is construction starts. Again, I've got this normalized to inventory, and you can see we're at a historically low level, right? We haven't seen construction starts be this low since basically the depths of the Great Recession. And it's pretty easy to forecast from this. Okay, well, what is that quantity of new space that is and is going to be around for tenants to occupy? And we're not there yet. We're at about 2% of inventory now. That's buildings 0 to 3 years old. But we're going down to a level that's closer to 1% of inventory, which would be the lowest that we have on record. So not a lot of competition for buildings that are currently the bright, shiny new object in their market. And that's good news for existing landlords.